In April, my wife and I took a nice little trip up to Wichita, Kansas, to visit relatives and ran into some creationist issues on this trip. They have a nice downtown area there, and there's some good museums. This one is called the Museum of World Treasures. And as I started moseying through there, I was really impressed with the nice dinosaur fossils and other exhibits related to evolution through the ages. And I was following the little arrows there, looking at the development of life on Earth, until I came to a corner where they had shown ancient life on Earth, and as the geologic column shows more complex life over the millions of years. It talked about how Kansas and the Midwest used to be under an ancient ocean bed millions of years ago. But it got up to the evolution of mammals, and then it stopped. I turned a corner, and there's nothing about primates, nothing about human evolution. Not a word. And later I asked my wife, I said, did I just miss that, or was it out of order? But she said no, she didn't see it either. There's nothing in this development showing the development of life on Earth, but nothing shows anything about human evolution. You just look at the various stages of the complexity of life and the different levels, and then turn the corner and it's like, oh, here's human civilization. No word about where they came from or how you went from other mammals at all to human beings. We just weren't part of the evolution story. Apparently we were just created. A few days later, my sister took us to the zoo there, Sedgwick County, Wichita, Kansas. And again, they've got a nice zoo, nice facility, especially for a city that size. We went and looked at the monkeys and the apes as usual, and ran across this little sign here talking about primates. Take a look at the pie charts showing all the different kinds of primates. Is there something missing there? Because once again, humans seem to be missing from the entire category of primates. This really kind of took me back a little. Of course, when I exited, I took a look at the building, and the building is funded by and named in part after the Koch brothers. You know, those Koch brothers, the Charles and David Koch, they're paying for it, and apparently humans being primates isn't part of their agenda. Now, I do understand that humans are considered part of that apes subgroup, but if you look at the illustration showing the kinds of apes, there's not a hominid or a human of any kind there, so I think the message was pretty clear. But just in case the message wasn't driven home by that, there's this other sign nearby that says, of all the animals, apes most closely resemble ourselves. No word about us being related to them or being apes ourselves. And further on that same sign, chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas, gibbons, and humans are so much alike that scientists classify us as hominids, the human-like ones. How does that statement even make sense? One little side trip we took while we were in Kansas was to a Mennonite community named Yoder. And while we were there, in a little souvenir shop, they had this cheap little plastic toy. You shake it up in the different levels of the different colors of sand, lay down in different strata. And I thought to myself then, I wonder if creationists ever look at that and say, look, you can get different layers of strata on the earth, and it all happened during the course of Noah's flood. And sure enough, as soon as I got back, the people over at Arguing from Ignorance had downloaded this Kent Hovind video where he had the very same toy and he's making that very argument. Go take a look at the original. It's kind of funny. This was on the same day we went from Yoder, just a few miles north, to Hutchinson, Kansas, to a salt mine. And in the salt mine, you can see strata alternating salt and dirt, salt and dirt. Ignore the lady in the picture there. That's my wife. I ignore her all the time. But the deal is, how could that occur in your Noah's flood? Wouldn't all of that salt be dissolved at the same time? Wouldn't it all dry out at the same time? The explanation given at the salt mine there was that over millions of years, the vast inland sea that covered Middle America, occasionally the sea level would dry out and it would be left with this huge layer of salt. Then it would get covered by a layer of dirt. Then the sea level would rise again, or the ground perhaps subsided. And this alternated over millions of years, and that's why you can wind up with a layer of salt, then dirt, then salt, then dirt. Something that cannot be explained, Kent Hovind, are you listening to me? Cannot be explained by your flood mythology.
Has happened. Took millions of years for this to happen. The Cretaceous layer is a little contorted in here and distorted. There's probably been some uplift and upheavals over the years, and took millions of years, of course. So we're going to try it again by rotating at 90 degrees and see if what happens now with a little earthquake in here, see what happens if we can form some more layers. So we're going to continue this, and I think we're going to have to apply for the government grant, Kent. So it is demonstrating clearly that it does not take millions of years for multiple layers to form, especially